This is Marriage on the Half Shell, Raw and Exposed. So we thought this evening we would talk about the flip side of the one we talked about last time.
So the second part of Do Your Duty.
Yes.
Last time was for the ladies, and
Yes.
this time it's for the guys.
Yep.
Gentlemen, whatever you want to call us. So we'll start off with, last time we started off with this parody article
Right.
from a non-existent women's magazine from the 50s. So this time we're going to go through a good husband's guide first for hopefully it's funny. And this is the James Bond Attitude edition from the May 1955 issue of Dashing Gents Monthly.
Which is a magazine that we desperately need.
We do need that
Yes.
magazine. But right now it says it's as fictional as a villain's lair. So
Okay. Well.
All right. So let's see. So last time we just went through some of the things.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one is greet her with effortless charm. When your wife steps through the door, flash that winning smile and offer a good evening, darling, with the confidence of a man who owns the room. Take her coat, pour her a drink, or make her feel like the only mission that matters. So, I can see that.
Well,
I mean, this is actually real.
Yeah, except, in our situation, and we talked about this, you work from home. I'm the one who goes out, and I'm not like supporting the household or anything, but I've got my part-time coaching job, and so I'm out 3 mornings a week for coaching, right? And if you greeted me at the door with a drink at noon,
a martini,
we would have problems. That could cause some issues.
That would be, yeah. All right. Number 2, command the kitchen with swagger. Don't leave her to toll over the stove, at least not every day, right? Saunter in, toss together a bold dish, and serve it with a raised eyebrow. All right. And I do some of the cooking.
You do. I mean, actually, you spent a good part of last weekend cooking enough food to keep us. So I don't have to cook for at least a month, maybe more.
Yeah. Just all smoked meat.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
You think we'll get tired of it, but I'm thinking no.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Keep the home in impeccable order. Well, this is generally not for the dad per se, or the husband per se. And I suppose it depends on who works outside the home and so on. So we've talked about splitting chores before. So, but there's nothing wrong with helping and doing your part. And if it says, a man of your caliber knows a tidy home sets the stage for romance. It's like, that's true.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah.
It is true.
All right. Number 4, listen with a knowing nod. When she recounts her day, be it the neighbor's chatter or a tussle with the grocer, lean in, lock eyes, and listen like you're unraveling a mystery. Offer a quip like, sounds like you outsmarted them all, love, and let her bask in your attention.
Well, your standard response when I come home and unload is, do you need a vent right now, or do you want me to fix it? Because that's going to determine the direction this conversation goes in.
I think I'm trying to lean more toward assuming venting. Or
most of the
assuming
time.
you just want to. This is really about connecting emotionally.
Yeah, it
so
is.
assuming that rather than just shooting that down or whatever. We'll get to the real things after this. Dress like you're always on assignment. A true husband never slouches. Sport a crisp shirt, a tie knotted with precision, and shoes that gleam like your reputation. Your wife deserves a leading man who looks the part, not a chap who's forgotten how to shine.
Oh,
Well,
well,
I think we dress with each other's energy.
we do.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working from home, so I'm not wearing a shirt and tie.
No, you're
and-
in gym clothes most of the day.
Yeah.
And
so-
actually, I am too.
Yeah, because I work out.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
work out and then get up and down and all that.
And you only wear ties to weddings and funerals.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not James Bond.
No.
Master the art of small gestures. Hold her chair with a flourish, carry her parcels with a nod, and open doors like you're ushering her into a gala. These moves are your calling card. Simple, smooth, and guaranteed to make her swoon. I don't know. Do you swoon when I open the door?
Well, I like it. You know, and I've said this out in public before, and I've shared it with some people. But when I'm with you, or when I'm with either of my sons, I don't touch any doors at
That's
all.
true.
I will stand back and wait, or sit in the car.
Yeah.
And wait for them to come open the door for me. So
There are a few exceptions, but generally, yeah.
yeah, generally.
Okay. Plan a night out with panache. Don't wait for her to drop hints. Reserve a spot at the finest dinner. That says diner. Diner in town.
Oh, okay.
Or a seat at the picture show. Picture show. All right. And escort her like she's royalty. Let her pick the evening's entertainment. Your job is to make her feel like a star. Well, I wouldn't agree with that.
No, we go back and forth.
We go back and forth.
We both have restaurants that we prefer, and then we take turns, and then
And you don't want decision fatigue, so I'll just decide sometimes.
yeah. But like tomorrow we're going to see the latest Mission Impossible movie, and that's not particularly my choice.
Not a sponsor, but
Yeah.
I want to see it.
I know, and that's fine. So there's movies you want to see and movies I want to see. So
Glad it's
yeah.
fine. All right. Tackle household issues with cool resolve.
You do that.
A creaky door or a dim bulb is no match for your composure. Fix it with the calm assurance of a man who's faced worse odds. Yeah, well, I mean, I fix stuff
Okay.
around the house. That's part of
and you're really good at it.
part of my job, or things that I've taken on. Praise her with a silver tongue. Whether she's mastered a roast or kept the children from staging a coup, tell her she's absolutely captivating
Okay.
with a sly grin. Your compliments should leave her blushing, not reaching for the cookbook.
Oh. Well,
I don't know if I've ever made you
No.
blush, but
no, and we've had this discussion because the highest praise that I get from you is it's pretty good.
I'd say most of our minor fights, and not that there are that many these days,
Yeah.
but most of our minor fights are she'll make something and I'll say it's pretty good, and what I mean is it's great, it's awesome, I like it a lot, right? But I'll say it's pretty good, and she doesn't take it. She takes it like literally, and you know what I mean.
I take it the way it sounds.
Uh-huh. Well, we're still working on that one.
Okay.
Last, be her unshakable ally. Marriage is your greatest adventure. So treat her as your equal partner. Share the load. Keep your wit sharp, and always have her back. A man of your charm knows the real victory is her smile, and you always play to win.
I agree with
we
most
have
of
each
that.
other's back.
Yeah, we do. We do.
So this was less snarky
It was.
than the
Other than
the
greet your
other
wife
one.
at the door with a drink. That's kind of, you're
didn't say
playing
what-
with fire there.
I didn't say what kind of
of
drink there.
Given that it's James Bond, you know that it's martini.
Of course. All right. So I'm going to come at this from my perspective now. So after we went through the parody article, we went through actual duties. So this is husband duties from my perspective. it's from a biblical perspective, but
Mhm.
it's not necessarily, how can I say, it applies even if you're not religious or if you're just secular or whatever, right? These things apply. So the I'm going to actually go to the version that I got. Here it is, where it's a little more secular. Okay, but again, coming from as a Christian, I think the I don't know how to say, the principles apply whether
Yeah.
you're Christian or not.
Yeah, universal.
All right. Okay. So, the intro: marriage is a profound partnership built on mutual commitment, love, and respect. I think we can agree with that. Creating a bond that thrives through shared effort and care. So they have these duties. So one, love your partner selflessly. So you prioritize. The principle is prioritize your partner. I'm going to say your wife, because this is a husband's. Prioritize your wife's well-being with selfless devotion, putting her needs above your own. Love in marriage means consistently acting for your partner's happiness and security, even when it requires personal sacrifice. And I think you can generally agree with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you give up yourself for her any more than she would give up herself for you.
Right.
In the sense of losing yourself, because I don't know if we talked about that last time or the time before. But,
That's the time before.
you don't do that. You don't sacrifice everything so that you become the doormat any more than she would for you, right? So but there are times, right, where you would take on, say, an extra responsibility under certain circumstances. Like
Right.
once you have kids, you're going to renegotiate or rework the who does what around the house kind of thing.
Yeah.
Always taking into account who's working, how many hours they work, that sort of thing. So, in our experience or our life,
Yeah.
you were the homemaker, stay-at-home mom, while I went outside of the home for a long time and worked and provided financially, but you took care of the kids, you homeschooled them, and so we ended up sharing some chores, too around the home. So and we've said this before too, it's not the dad comes home and expects dinner on the table and sits there and reads the paper while he spends his evening doing nothing.
Yeah.
I took care of the kids too, that sort of thing. This would include like some emotional support, daily affection, that sort of thing. So, as a duty, you want, a lot of these will have to do with connection,
Right.
with your wife, right? You want romance, so you better connect with her outside the bedroom.
Well, romance,
Too.
when you're first married, romance kind of comes easy.
Yeah, because you got
But
the
then-
chemicals.
Yeah, but then eventually it settles down into a routine and you have to work for it. It doesn't just happen anymore.
Well, you just have to be, yes,
You have
you're
to be
right.
conscious.
You have to be purposeful,
Conscious, yeah.
conscious of it. And that's, that's fine. That's how we're designed
Yeah.
to work. And it makes us better people. We've talked about this. I don't keep saying that over and over.
Right.
It makes us better people
Yeah.
because we're not just coasting. If you start to coast, whether it's in your marriage or your job, it's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
So, all right, number 2, lead with humility and partnership. So, guide the relationship with wisdom and humility, fostering unity through shared decision making. So we, as the husband, I typically lead, but she has great power to affect my decisions. So generally, we make decisions together.
Yeah.
We've talked. We've said that.
And it's been that way pretty much our whole marriage. It's not.
Yeah.
This isn't. You know.
So I generally wouldn't make a giant, big decision without Abby's input, because I need to know how it's going to affect us, because we're us, not I'm me,
Yeah.
right? Even though I am me and she's her,
Yeah.
what I decide affects both of us together.
Right.
Okay. So I have to be humble and, not have this big ego. All right. Let's see. Not about control, but serving the relationship through collaboration. So, yeah. I think a lot of times when I say I come at it from a biblical perspective or a Christian perspective, a lot of people can hear that as the man is just controlling, and that's not the case at all. not at all. It's never meant to be that way. The Bible's pretty clear about the husband and wife are both equal in dignity and
Right.
and value and all of that. All right. Provide for the household. So, yeah. Contribute to the material and emotional needs of the partnership. So, generally, I think statistically, the husband should be the one working to provide financially. And that doesn't mean the wife can't work. I'm not saying that.
Right.
Especially in today's economy. But we've also said, if you want to have children, one of you needs to stay home with the kids and be there with them. If you just farm them out to daycare and then farm them out to school, who's raising your kids? It's not you.
Yeah.
They're not going to get your values, etc. And you're responsible for those kids.
Yeah.
So we decided that Abby would stay home and homeschool them, because we wanted that good to give them that good education that I don't think they get in public school.
No, they
Excuse me,
definitely don't.
these days. So it worked out that way for us. If you have to share financial roles, there's no judgment there. I'm not implying that, but you would work that out. But if I think very rarely you can make it work if the wife makes more and therefore she's the one who goes to work, and
Statistically, that doesn't work so well. It really doesn't.
yeah, statistically, right? But you don't have to be a statistic. You have to make sure that your ego is in check, and you both have to be moral people, right? You don't have to. You have to be careful about becoming superior to, looking down on the other. Hope I don't lose my voice before this is over. I think that can happen.
Right.
In either direction, so you have to be careful about that. All right. 4, protect your partner at home. Safeguard your partner's physical, emotional, and relational well-being. So there's the safe environment at home, physical safety, the secure home. I heard just something today that says it's in America anyway. And depending on where you live, of course, but it's reasonably unlikely that you're going to have to defend your home. But you also have to bring about emotional safety as a husband, right? You don't be a tyrant. Don't be angry.
Right.
Right? Understand your wife and where she's coming from and what her needs are too.
Well, let's just be honest here. This is something we struggled with.
Be specific.
Well, some of our arguments revolve around me not feeling entirely safe being vulnerable around you. So this is an area that we've struggled with.
we've struggled with it
Yeah.
because of your upbringing,
Yeah.
and that's something that I didn't have the same experience with. So I'll do the stonewalling
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
of the four horsemen that we've talked about in the past, where I'll shut down. It's like, I don't want to deal with this, or feel like I'm being attacked when she's just trying to deal with an issue.
Yeah.
And I need to continue being there and saying, I'm still here for you. We can talk this through or work it out, and not take things personally, because we're men and women are different, and if you don't believe that, then you're gonna have a hard time being married. So I think as men we can protect our relationship. We can protect the emotion of the house. We're generally more stoic, and it doesn't mean unemotional. It just means we can control our emotions until we don't need to.
Yeah.
That's not the right way to say
Well-
that, but we can keep control a little more easily, and that's fine. I've said that a big part of why a lot of young men, especially, but men in general, fail is they don't have control of their emotions.
Right.
And I'm not saying that women shouldn't have control of their emotions, right? But there can come a time when, if she's got to vent or tell you about her day, or if something happened that affected her emotionally, right? It's not time for you to get all emotional. It's time to be calm and help her. And we are equipped to do that as men. And it doesn't mean that we're better or worse. It's just we're different. And when we come together, and if you can't do this for your wife, then why are you married? I mean, anyway, honor and respect your partner. That's number 5. Treat your partner with dignity, valuing them as equal and appreciating their contributions. So, you're respecting your partner. You listen. You connect through communication. You show love to your wife by treating them as valuable, and their thoughts and inputs and such as valuable, because it is valuable. So, and also showing gratitude back and forth. So a lot, the love and respect issue or part of relationships, where men need respect and more than love, or they feel love through the respect.
Right. Yeah.
And women need love more than respect. And it doesn't mean that they don't need respect. It just means that love is, you express love toward them by listening, communicating, connecting emotionally, right? And that way you each get your core needs met.
Yeah.
So even as a Christian, the Bible says that honor your wife as an equal before God. So any idea of being the man and sitting around being served and you do nothing, like you're the king and she's a servant, it's like, that's not biblical.
Right.
And I think some societies or some people have taken it that way, and it's not true. All right, 6, remain faithful and loyal. That's the foundation of trust. So we stay faithful, right? Our relationship, we protect it. Some of the things we do, that's why we've talked about being careful about having friends of the opposite sex on either
Right.
side.
Yeah.
Right. It's like it's okay. It just kind of depends on what that friendship means or is or looks like. And you both should be looking to be loyal and faithful to protect your relationship.
Right.
Right. So it's something that the husband has to do as well.
Well, something that Trey and Lee emphasize. Trey and Lee run another podcast, and they do marriage seminars around the country,
Okay.
and we've followed them for years. But they put out posts on social media every day, and it's always marital advice. And one of the ones they frequently post is, if you are hiding your phone from your spouse or not allowing them to just pick up your phone and look at it, you're already cheating.
So
You're hiding stuff.
if you're hiding something,
Yeah.
then what are you doing? Right. I mean, and we're not talking about, everybody, you check each other's phone every day to make sure nothing's going on, like you don't trust them. That's not
No.
what we're talking about.
No.
But, if my phone's in another room and I need to look at the calendar, I can pick up Abby's phone,
Yeah.
get into it, and look at it. And she can
Yeah.
do the same with mine. So there's no hiding the phone.
Right.
But I'm not going into her messages and looking for stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lack of trust.
Right.
So you have to be trustworthy, and you also have to trust. And
Yeah.
So you earn each other's trust. But we also, I don't want to say open phone policy, but it's not like I said, it's not unless you have some really good reason to go look,
Yeah.
right, just to ease your conscience, then you better be real careful if you ever take that privilege. But it should be there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess some people go back and forth, and talk about a right to privacy. It's like it extends a little bit in the sense of there are some things that Abby might be talking about with a friend that I don't need to know, or that friend doesn't want me to know.
Yeah.
So I'm not
That
going to
happens.
go.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a male friend.
Right.
I'm talking about like a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And the same thing with me. If there's some guy I'm texting back and forth about getting advice or giving advice, it's private in that sense.
Yeah.
Um,
But I also trust you.
Trust me.
Trust you that you're not texting someone you shouldn't be.
No. And I trust you that you're not.
Yeah.
And we've earned that trust. And so that's, I'm trying to give a nuanced answer here because in a sense, when you're married, you're one, right? You're one. And
Yeah.
you're each individuals, but you are together in one unit. And so the idea of a right to privacy where you can have another life doesn't stand.
Yeah.
Right. But as we said, there are reasons to keep certain things private because I shouldn't know them, related to say
Or
some
it's
other
just
people,
not.
or if you're planning surprise, or I'm planning
But
surprise,
it's not
or
just
whatever.
that you don't need to know them. It's that maybe it just has nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
has nothing to
something
do
that,
with you.
I will come to you if I need help sorting it out. But if I can sort it out myself and help somebody,
Sure.
then there's no reason for me to
Yeah.
burden you with someone else's problem.
I get it, and that's a good way of putting
Yeah.
it. If it doesn't have anything to do with me,
Yeah.
in the sense of it's not a betrayal of my
Yeah.
trust, it's you're trying to help someone,
Right.
or I'm trying to help someone, or whatever. So I think if you think about it, you can find the line in there.
There's
and
some
work
common
it
sense
out.
in here.
Yeah, you could call it that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all under faithful and loyal.
Right.
Let's see. But also, this means investing in emotional intimacy through quality time,
Yeah.
keeping the partnership central. So I talked about protecting the partnership, but also through loyalty and faithfulness, but also building the partnership, building your emotional intimacy. And again, husbands, this is who we're talking to now. You know, if you connect to your wife through the physical intimacy, but also through some emotional intimacy, right?
Right.
Which is why we've emphasized that, you know, sex should be a big part of your relationship all the way through, not just to have children or, you know, once you get old enough, then it can stop or anything like that, because that's a way to lose your man, ladies. But men, the way to lose your wife is to not build emotional intimacy. That's what she needs.
Yeah.
And it serves you both, but it serves you too, right? She's not going to be ready for the bedroom if you haven't connected with her through the day.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Well, I mean, and I just thought of an example of that. So, we had COVID in 2021.
Yeah.
We had COVID 3 weeks. We were sick. Like, you were a lot sicker than I was. Like, I kind of recovered after a week and a half or so.
Yeah.
But I had to still stay home because you were a lot sicker than I was.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but during that 3-week period, we really didn't talk.
True.
And our conversations, we have these lengthy conversations that go all over the place, you know, down all kinds of rabbit holes and stuff. And we have that pretty frequently, you know.
Yeah.
And that was something that we had really been working on with COVID because we were home all the time.
Sure.
You couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, now we're stuck together and we're just, you know, what are we going to do? We talked a lot.
Yeah.
So during that 3 weeks, you barely talked at all. And you were sick. So it's like, I was just trying to take care of you physically and all of that stuff. But I started to feel it. It really affected me, you know? And
I know.
Yeah. Well, and it will still happen from time to time, you know, where we'll go for a long stretch of time where we don't have one of our lengthy conversations.
Well, we still talk to each other.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. But I think I feel that more than you do. Like I feel that lack more than you do.
I think you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially if you're early in your marriage, well, I mean, throughout your marriage, there are various things that can seek to disrupt that.
Yeah.
Right. So there's kids, you're working hard. I mean, here you are just married, and you're trying to build your career, and you're also having kids, and it all happens at once.
Yeah.
So it's meant to keep you balanced and keeping the priorities straight, right? A lot of guys today out there are saying, you know, don't get married till you're 30 something, you know, build your career, blah, blah, blah. It's like you're missing out. I mean, yeah, you'll be a little bit richer, but you're really just missing out on all of the benefits of marriage and having your children younger and having a wife that you grow together with from the start. Yeah. Rather than finding someone who's 30 something and having one kid. Right. Which you said.
It was just something I was out with my oldest daughter and youngest daughter, and we were hanging out at the pool over in her neighborhood, and she's got her kids. They both had their kids with them, and she said, "You know what I've noticed? Because they've been coming to the pool since it opened at the beginning of April." She said, "I just see a lot of one child households, like the mom or whoever shows up, and there's one kid."
Right.
And she said, there's just something backwards and upside down about that. She said, it's just not right. And these kids, they come and they approach my kids like, oh, good, I'm just so happy, you know, like I'm not alone anymore, you know, that kind of thing. And she told another story about her second daughter, she's a tough nut to crack. It's very hard to be close to, I guess. And she said her daughter was out in the ocean, just paddling around or whatever, and this little girl went out there and was just swimming circles around her, going, "What's your favorite color? Where do you go to school? What's your name?" Like asking her like for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And Maya's so stoic that she was like, "I'm not talking to this girl. I don't know what this is." I'm like, So Maya just got out of the water and came back up on the blanket or whatever. But this is, these kids who don't have siblings, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Well,
it's okay. So it hurts the kids.
And that not only do they not have siblings, parents are on screens.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what I was getting at was she said, a lot of single kid households.
Yes.
And all the moms are 30 something.
Yeah.
Right? Because they
waited.
And it's just, it's like you're in your prime years to be a mother when you're in your 20s, not your 30s.
It's
Doesn't
true.
mean you can't do it.
No.
Nobody's saying that you
obviously
can't do
it can be
it.
done.
But the message of the world society today is wait.
Yeah.
And get out there into the workforce and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay, so you make a little more money.
Yeah.
But then you only have one kid and maybe you get married late.
Right.
And you're set in your ways and your guy is set in his ways because you're both 30 now. And you didn't grow together.
Yeah.
So it just makes it more difficult. Nobody's saying it's impossible, but it certainly makes it more difficult. And, the divorce rate's 50%. I mean, come on. So
yeah, there's a reason for that.
There's a reason for it. Anyway, don't want to get too far off track. Number 7, support your partner's growth. Encourage your partner's personal and emotional development, aspirations, hobbies, career goals, or personal growth. So yeah, when Abby was homeschooling, I always tried to champion that and help her figure out curriculums and then obviously help with the kids, but also, encourage her. I hope I encouraged you. And then when homeschooling was all done, or the youngest kids were basically in high school and schooling themselves in a sense, I wanted her to go do something, grow in another area, and she
Right.
ended up becoming a CrossFit coach. And I think that has helped you realize that you can do other things.
It has, but you also encouraged a lot of my volunteer work, even when the kids
that's right.
were still
I keep
in
forgetting
school.
about that. But
Well, I mean, I didn't go and work outside the home, but as when the kids got old enough, I was able to volunteer for like veterans organizations and the USO and things like that when the kids got old enough that they could, that you could be home with them easily, or they could be home by themselves and it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
That.
Right.
So just like expanding my personal growth, a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what this is talking about. It's like you don't want to be stuck. You don't want your wife to be stuck in. And I'm not raising children is fulfilling, but it's hard, and so you want to make sure that she's got other outlets, other ways to talk to people, for instance, or go out with her girlfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you go out with friends and develop something in the community or in church or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that needs to be encouraged because we're rounded people, right? Or we should be well-rounded people.
Yeah.
Not just single-focused And it can seem like that, I think, especially from a wife's perspective when you're having children.
Yeah.
If you're in the workforce, you may get some satisfaction from that, but I'll be honest, you don't. You don't get satisfaction from it that much compared to raising children. And I'm only saying that because from a man's perspective, it's the same thing, right? Most jobs are not these fulfilling, awesome things, right?
Right.
They're a job where you go make money to support your family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not dissing my workplace at all, right? I enjoy my job, but it's my job, right?
Yeah.
I enjoy my wife more.
But you also enjoy being around our adult children and
yes.
being with the grandkids.
Yeah, and that too. I mean, I'm not leaving that out. I'm just making the comparison of, the job is not the end all be all, even for most men. I mean, I think there are some men who are just so driven, but, that they work 60 to 80 hours a week. It's like, well, where do you think a high rate of divorce comes from? Like, because you're working 80 hours a week and you're never home.
Yeah.
You never connect with your wife.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
My experience, even in my company, well, I should say years ago, the president of our division or whatever he was, as soon as he made president, he and his wife got divorced. And it's like, it's because you were working so many hours.
Yeah.
You did not make any connection with your wife.
Yeah.
Right? So why did you get married? Right? Those guys shouldn't get married.
Yeah.
I don't want to say hire a call girl, but hire a companion to be on your arm, right? If that's what you need. But, don't get married and then destroy your own marriage. It's stupid.
Actually, that can happen on the other end too, because Kate used to be, I hate to say multi-level marketing, but she was part of one of those kind of companies.
Okay.
And she, in the past 2-3 years, has like tapered that down, and she's really not doing it anymore. And when I went and asked her about it, she said, Mom, every single person in my upline is divorced at least once. I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
She said they're just so committed and driven, and they're just like money, money, money. And I just wanted to help people. Yeah. That's the only reason I started doing it. I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And they were pushing me because she's a salesman. She could do it. Right? But they were pushing me in the same direction. And I'm looking at them going, I don't want your life.
Yeah.
I don't want this.
What kind of life do you have?
Yeah.
It's like you got the money, but you have no...
A couple of them have been divorced.
No body.
Like a couple of times. And they have children. And it's just
it's a big mess.
It's a mess.
All right. So support your partner's growth.
Yeah, partner's growth, but there have to be parameters as well around that, I think, is what we're saying.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Communicate with kindness and honesty. Okay, so husbands, putting it this way, like I mentioned earlier, when we have a bigger argument, not often, but when that happens, the men are, and I do it, are the ones who are more likely to stonewall, which is shutting down.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to deal with the argument for one reason or another, so you just shut down.
Yeah.
It's like, and you feel it, whether you feel, even if you're not being attacked by your wife, you feel it, right? And so that's not communicating, right? That shuts off communication, and that shuts off connection, right? So you want to foster this open, respectful communication, and that's the thing that we need to do. It's the areas that we have as men that we struggle with more. Women can communicate.
Yeah.
They have their struggles, but men, we talk less. It's just that's just the way it is.
For
right?
the most part, that's
For the
true,
most
yes.
part, we do. Even though I'm talking most during this podcast, if you'll notice, most of our podcasts, Abby's doing more of the talking, and I'll add things in, except for a couple of them. So, but this one, this area is like you need to grow in this area of talking more, communicating more, and making sure it's respectful.
Yeah.
And if you see problems in the marriage, and there will be problems in the marriage, bring them up. Don't just avoid it.
Yeah.
Right. Studies show that we were mentioning the Gottmans, and they said that the wives generally bring up issues in the marriage more often than the husband, because I think the reason is because husbands just would rather just not deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want the conflict, so I'm not going to bring up a problem.
Well, women notice more emotional things too.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
And so that's okay if the wife brings up issues more often. That's
Right.
fine, because she could maybe she can see them better, and that's fine too. But you got to be open to talking them through and dealing with them. But also, if you see something going on and she's not bringing it up, then you should, right? Because you're the leader, the captain of the ship, in a sense.
Yeah.
And you need to be guiding the ship.
Yeah.
Right. And you're protecting your relationship by making sure that things get talked through. If you ignore a problem, if you kick the can down the road, it's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
And bigger and bigger until you finally cannot ignore it anymore.
Right.
And by then, maybe it's too late. Don't know. Or it's certainly going to be a lot harder to deal with.
Yeah.
Right. So it's better just to get things out in the open right away and discuss them.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be mean or angry about it or accusatory or anything, right? You just got to talk things through. This happened and this is the way I felt about it. That would probably shock your wife. So, but do it. All right. Also listening, right? Listening patiently, admitting mistakes, resolve conflicts constructively. Excuse me. All right. Model integrity and dependability. So basically, be honest and reliable. You're trying to be trustworthy.
It sounds like Boy Scouts. Well, I mean, they've eliminated the Boy Scouts, and they used to teach young boys those principles as young boys, and they grew up with that mindset, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I think young boys need to know. They need to be honest and reliable. And again, a lot of the things we talk about apply both to men and women, but
yes,
this isn't being taught to men today.
No, it's not.
Right? So we end up with men who don't know how to live, don't know how to deal with relationships or deal with issues or be constructive or anything like that. So we're just talking about, the honesty, have some integrity, keep your promises. If you say you're going to do something, do it.
Right.
Right? If you say, I'm going to take out the trash because your wife says, can you please take out the trash? And you say, I will do it. Then you better do it. Right? Because you made a promise. You just said, I will do it. So that's a promise.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be right away, but don't forget. Right? I could tend to do that. So I'll try to do things right away when I can. But if I'm in the middle of something, it's like, okay, I'm going to get to that. I'll take the trash out in half an hour, or whatever it takes for you to make sure you can keep that promise. Make sure that you do it. Keep your commitments. Again, that strengthens your relationship through building trust. Building trust. Okay. Last one. Last one. Share responsibilities. Okay, so you're working as a team. We've definitely gone over this before, where um, you're not the king and she's the servant, right?
Yeah.
You're the king and queen of your house,
Right.
and you both have an equal level of dignity, equal level of value, and you may do different things, but there's no out of balance workload, right? Because maintaining a home is hard,
Yeah.
especially with children. But
Right.
even without children, there's stuff to do that needs to be done, and you do some, and she does some, and then everybody can, have their leisure time or whatever,
Right.
and you have time together. So, so maybe you split chores, and depending on your season of life, you split them differently. But you're working as a team to accomplish the purpose of the household.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, when our kids were younger, I was with them all day because I homeschooled them. They were with me 24/7.
Yeah.
When you got home from work though, and I've heard some people put this phrase down, but I don't mind saying it. I punched a time card. Oh, after dinner, it's like I could go out and have a cup of coffee by myself, or I can go up and take a bath if I want to.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Because you would come home and, after you've gotten out of your work clothes and we've had dinner together, you took over.
Yeah.
And you had all the kids sitting around and you would read to them, or you would watch a movie with them, or whatever it was. And then you were more or less in charge of bedtime.
Yeah.
I would be there helping out, especially if they were younger, but that's just how we did it, And then we got both kids in bed by 8.
Well, when we had two, yeah.
But if we had all the kids in bed by say 8 or so, or at least out of our hair, then we could have an hour or two to ourselves.
Right.
To be together and do whatever. So that's just how we negotiated things.
Yeah.
Right?
And the point here is, let's say you as a husband, since you're going to be the leader, so you should lead.
Yeah.
And that means, and every leader who is effective, if you go look at the SEALs or military in some way, or any other effective leader, an effective leader is someone who leads from the front.
Yeah.
Right? You're the servant leader.
Yeah.
You take the hits from above, to protect your team.
Yeah.
Because you're responsible for them and the results of that team.
Mm-hmm.
So a marriage is really not any different. You're going to be the leader. You have that privilege, but you also have the responsibility to lead properly, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we keep saying it's like, you're not a tyrant. You can't be a tyrant.
Yeah.
You lead through service
Mm-hmm.
and demonstration, and then you also guide your wife or your kids to do what else needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So take that on, and that means could mean figuring out what the balance is. Like if your wife is overburdened by something where the season of life has changed, or you just had another kid, and now she's really feeling that extra burden. She's got this baby now, right? And you've got other kids running around. It's like you're going to have to pick up.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's doing a harder job at that time. And then you work through that.
Yeah.
And then it changes, right? So it's not like set in stone for the forever, right? You change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in this episode and then last episode, the duties, and maybe we didn't cover everything completely, or all of them, but generally the more important ones, where you're just trying to create this framework for a strong marriage, right? Adapt it to where you are in your life,
Mm-hmm.
um, who's working, what you all need to do or want to do, um, so that you can both grow together.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then how to manage your household and that sort of thing. Kids, we've mentioned kids a lot, but kids don't make a family. You make a family. You and your wife made the family, and then you bring children into that family, and they become part of it.
Yeah.
Right. So even though we mention them a lot, they're I'm not meaning to point them out and say, that's a family once you have kids. So you should be doing this before you have children.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see. I'm looking through the rest of my notes here real quick. I think we've covered it all.
It looks like we have, and I'm kind of. Well, we're dealing with some
fatigue.
Fatigue, but also some incoming bad weather.
Oh yeah.
Here pretty soon. So.
Well, good thing the power didn't go out.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of afraid of right now.
But I'm just checking before
that's fine.
we finish up.
That's fine.
So all the principles are relevant, even in quote unquote modern marriage. But if you've got a marriage at all, it's the same as it's always been.
Yeah.
Right. So that's all I've got. I've gone through those duties. And so next time, next episode, I'm hoping that we can interview one of our daughters and her husband.
Right.
And just talk about their marriage. They've been married for a few years now.
23? No.
So we'll
something like that.
See if hopefully we can get that worked out.
Yeah.
And if not, then we'll get to it. But hopefully the next episode. And then after that, we have plans for the Gottman series.
Yes.
We keep pushing the Gottmans out because we come up with other things
to talk about. Yeah.
But the Gottmans have those 7 principles in their book. So we are going to go through those, and we'll get to those. But we've got a couple other things we've talked about as well.
Right.
So that's where we're headed. And that's it.
Yep.
So
this has been Marriage on the Half Shell, Raw and Exposed. Have a good evening.